Hi, welcome to the newest episode of Sports Talk Central. My name's Adeep Mahmood, and I'm here with my normal co-host Hunter. And today we'll be talking some baseball, some NFL playoffs, and then we're going to be recapping and also some coaching news. But also we're going to be talking about some updates with Virginia Tech football. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Rays. First, the Rays two-city plan. So basically, the Rays. I don't understand why. I mean, you're more of a hockey fan right now, Hunter. So
Yeah,
how can Tampa Bay support a hockey? How come a hockey team can be really successful in hockey in Florida, but a baseball team can't? Can you explain that? And
I think it's the main thing. Like the Lightning are really well run. First off, they have good ownership. They have a really good general manager. They also have a pretty strong fan base, I would say, down in Florida. Though the Panthers are right down. Well, the Panthers are a few hours away. They play down in Fort Lauderdale. So there's not as many down there. But Tampa Bay, it's just because they've had a little bit of I wouldn't say a long history, but it's a decently sized history. And I apologize for not being on camera. I don't know, for some reason I have a stomach cramp for everyone out there, and it's just not going away. But it's just they won the cup back in '04. They've been pretty competitive since then. They've really had no rumors about leaving or anything like that. They went through a couple bad years, but they've been able to draft well. They've made good trades, and they've just been a perennial contender ever since Brisbaugh was a GM and Eisman before him, and they hired John Cooper and all this stuff. So they just have a good infrastructure, and they're one of the best organizations in the league in just terms of developing and finding talent. And they have a pretty good arena, in the city. So it's different, I think, with the Rays because they play in the dump that we call Tropicana Field. No one likes going there. It's no wonder that they're trying to find somewhere else to play. But it sounds like there might. I don't know. Is there just they can't find the money to build a new baseball park, or there's no land or something for it? Because they should have found something. I feel like by now to um, just you know play in a new park.
yeah, no, for me it's simple. It's well, first of all, they don't even play in Tampa Bay. They play in St. Petersburg. There's
Yeah.
there's difference there. So basically, I honestly, I honestly think Tampa, like the Rays, are going to move to Nashville sometime soon, Nashville or Vegas. They're going to move because what I don't understand is like they have a thriving sports community in Tampa with the Buccaneers, with the light, I believe with the light, no, with the hockey team, and then with the
Mhm.
Rays. Like all three teams right now are well run, and it's just when you just look at the plan for what they had, which was like a split. Half the time they're going to play their home games in St. Petersburg, and the other half is going to be in Montreal. Which
Mhm.
I I how strange is that to you? Like you play half your games way up north, and the rest of your games way down south. Like that to me, it makes no sense at all. So I mean, that's why I think that they need to figure this out. I mean, you have the rumors of the A's moving to Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and Rays kind of like I said. I think the Rays are going to eventually move to Nashville. Just at some
Um,
point,
I think Jamar Chase is going to take this all the
yeah,
way.
yeah. He came close.
Close.
Yeah, he close. Um, but yeah, so we're both watching the Titans Bengals game while we're recording as well. So if you, we might be saying some stuff about the game as well. But when we're going to be talking a little bit more about the NFL stuff a little bit later. But yeah, it's going to be really weird. So we'll move on to the next one, and that one next quick story, which is the Giants do have a new GM. It's Joe Schoen, the assistant.
Actually, they pronounce it somehow Joe Shane, and I'm dead serious on that.
Shane. Oh,
Yes,
whatever, whatever.
dead serious on that idea. I didn't know that until yesterday when I was working, and it is weird. And Jamar Chase is making other people look silly again.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but the Titans are just so fraudy. Anyways, continue.
No, but what were your thoughts on this one? Like,
I
what
feel
like
like it
from
seems
the
like a
Bills
good
and from
hire.
the Giants?
It seems like it feels like a good hire. Brandon Bean, talked him up a lot, I think, to the media today or yesterday. He definitely seems like a bit of a younger guy. He's not some 75-year-old guy who's just
He's
doesn't
not
like,
Gettleman.
yeah, it's not, yeah, it's not someone who's against analytics or anything. And I don't think he's going to hire from the old boys club. they have to actually develop and seek out talent that they need, and hopefully he'll be the one to really start the turnaround because they badly need it. And again, Joe Burrow he's going to
Got
blow
back
out
again.
another knee if he keeps this up. But I think hopefully it's a good hire. We'll have to see. I'm curious to also see if they're going to go get Brian Flores. I think he's going to have an interview there pretty
Robert
soon.
Dabble.
He already had an interview, so did
Oh yeah.
Leslie Frazier. So that's just, he was with the organization. He knows those guys. Of course, he's going to interview them. But I think they're going to interview Flores and a couple others as well.
Yeah, no, and I think this was kind of to me one of the more intriguing GM searches, only because obviously we have the Raiders situation with them firing Mayock. You have the Viking. Wait,
Yeah.
I get Vikings and the Bears. So obviously when you have that situation where you do have a GM and head coach, you have to see whether the head coach does kind of come in a package deal. And when you have Joe Shane kind of becoming the new GM, and then it's like, oh yeah, then Brian Dabble, there's a connection there. There's a connection with Leslie Frazier. So
Mm,
and then you have and some of these other options, like you have, I think Kansas City has a GM candidate. Does Eric Bieniemy go with him, or like the 49ers? You have the 49ers guy. Does the Mike McDaniel go with him?
yeah.
So that to me was a big thing. Like now that we know the first domino, which is the Giants basically brought in a Bills GM now, and one of their main candidates, one of the main head coaching candidates for every team is one of the Bills guys. So to me, I think this is the first domino to fall. It's gonna be pretty interesting to see what they do for the head coach. I mean, I think
Mm,
we'll get a better glimpse of it. So I think it's a good move because you hire assistants from successful organizations, and the Bills are
yes.
successful. Uh, I also do like it because the Bills are in that same area as the
Yep.
Giants, and like the Giants are way, way, way below the Bills. Like I mean, honestly, it's right now harder to determine who's a bigger laughing stock in New York, the Giants or the Jets. Like
Ooh.
that's how bad it's gotten. And you have to admit, it's a tough discussion to say which one's more embarrassing for New York. Or, yeah, like which one do you think is more embarrassing, the Giants or the Jets?
I mean, I think right now it's probably the Jets, but it's not by well, let's see, that's tough. I feel like it is the Giants, but it's not by much. I feel like if they get it turned around next year, that's going to be flipped in the other direction. It's just the Giants were so bad this year, and the fact that they ran a quarterback sneak on a 3rd and 9 situation, and just Joe Judge continued to say garbage, and they were trotting out Jake Fromm as a starting quarterback. I mean, that's as low as it gets, I think, in my opinion, man.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about the other the bigger one, which is revolving around the Ravens. But we'll talk about that one later, in about a minute or so. But apparently, speaking of the Giants, former Giants coach Ben McAdoo might be coming back to the NFL as the offensive
I believe
coordinator.
he is getting hired.
What?
I
You
believe
know,
he got hired, right?
he
Oh,
might. I think
yeah.
they haven't made it official yet, but apparently, sort of like if everything checks out, he's most likely the Panthers offensive coordinator.
Mm, okay.
Him, Matt Rule as the head coach, and uh, McAdoo as the offensive coordinator. I have no idea. I have no idea how that will turn out. I'll put it that way.
Mm,
But yeah, let's kind of go back into that one. And the Ravens and the Steelers are going to have new defensive coordinators
yeah,
next
it
year.
hasn't been announced yet for the Steelers, but it's expected that Keith will retire. It looks like.
Do you know who's going to replace him? Like,
There's
are
like
they?
rumors they may promote Terrell Austin. That would be, I think, ill-advised in my opinion. I would wish they would go out from outside the organization and actually go get someone who has play calling experience. But that's what it sounds like, at least right now. Adi, were you surprised by the news that John Harbaugh was letting go of Wink Martindale?
Yeah, slightly. But let me first say this.
Hmm.
So you're talking about someone who hasn't called, like you're talking about someone who hasn't like talking about calling plays and stuff. Terrell Austin has experience calling plays.
He
Like he
does,
was
I believe, the Bengals, right?
no, no, it's more than just that. He was defensive backs coach for the Seahawks for a few years in the Cardinals. He was the defensive coordinator for Florida in 2010, the secondary coach for the Ravens for 3 years, the
Oh,
defensive coordinator for the Lions from 2014 to 2017, the Bengals defensive coordinator in 2018, and then last 3 years he's been a part of the Steelers as an assistant. So he does have experience calling plays.
interesting. I actually did not know that he had been other places where he was the defensive coordinator. I'm just kind of tired of them promoting from within, I think is my main thing. I want them to go outside the organization and go get some fresh ideas. I understand the Steelers have a long history of promoting from within. I get that. But for these coordinator positions, I think that's one of my biggest gripes with Mike Tomlin as a Tomlin fan because it's not his. How am I supposed to say this? It's just he's really struggled with getting the best coordinators. He had Dick LeBeau and Bruce Arians when he came in. He got Todd Haley, which was a good hire for a little bit. Then it went to Randy Fichtner, then to Matt Canada, who has not been good. Then you replace Dick LeBeau with Keith Butler, and that's been mostly bad just because I think the elite talent really bails him out. So what are you going to do here? I mean, Austin does have a lot of experience, but are you really comfortable promoting from within? But I wish they wouldn't. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, so I'm gonna move on to Martindale, but pretty much, yeah. I mean,
What were your thoughts on it?
uh, I seen a lot. I kind of expected it. I was like, I thought that one of the coaches might be fired.
Jesus.
One of the coaches might go, and yeah, this Titans offense looks absolutely horrendous. But yeah, no, I thought yeah, maybe it's like most likely. I know a lot of Ravens fans wanted Greg Roman gone, but here's the issue with Greg Roman is they kind of already kind of halfway was moving towards that direction of firing him last year when they brought in Keith Williams and T. Martin as their passing game coaches.
Mm,
You don't get not one but two young coaches whose strengths correlates to a guy's weakness who's on the hot seat and then say, oh yeah, that guy's job is secure. Like you don't go ahead and say that. But like that to me there's some bigger messages with that hire, but with Don Martindale makes sense. I mean, let me just say the unpopular thing among Ravens fans here.
mm.
If you had to tell me one of Greg Roman or Don Martindale was going to go, and I would have said, you know what, I would have rather have had Martindale be fired instead of Roman.
Interesting. You will not get a lot of fans up in Maryland there, Eddie.
No, because and the thing is, here's the thing. I think because both these guys have issues. Both these guys are not long-term answers. But Greg Roman's biggest problem is he's not that great in the passing game. But if you have a really good passing game coordinator, you can at least make Greg Roman's passing schemes look average. The problem with Don Martindale is that he's really good at blitzing and he's really good at putting his corners in man coverage. But like I said a week ago, the problem with Greg Roman is that Martindale is that Martindale has this issue of he's great against rookie. It's great. It's a system that works great against rookie quarterbacks, but it doesn't work great against veteran quarterbacks. It's always going to fall flat. The second problem that you have with Martindale is he can't adjust. He can't you saw him blitz so many times.
Yeah, with the game on the line, right?
Yeah, and it's like he doesn't know what else to do, or it's sort of like he's fighting himself. Like he will against Kansas City, he won't blitz 6 or 7 guys against Patrick Mahomes because no one should be that stupid. But it's almost like he's fighting himself, right? You know what I'm saying? Like he wants to do something, but he knows he can't. So,
Mhm.
and maybe the Ravens do want to move out of that direction because when you think about it, look at the pass rushers, right? And I think people are going to point to the pass rushing, lack of pass rushing, for why Martindale left. I mean, you look at Zadarius Smith. He played well in Baltimore, had way more sacks in Green Bay. You look at
Yeah,
Matt Judon, at least for the first half when he was with New England, way more sacks than he had in Baltimore. You look at Yannick Ngakoue, same thing. The trend is this is not a system great for pass rushers, and you have people like Odafe Owe, Dalen Hayes,
yeah.
So I think that's kind of where the problem is. Like the fact you don't have a good pass rush. The issue you have there is now you're relying a lot on your corners, and when you're playing man coverage, you're at risk of giving big plays, and so it's kind of a little bit on the bend don't break defense. I mean, I think there's not a lot you could do there. It's not like you can say, "Oh, you have a defensive coordinator for man coverage. You got a defensive coordinator for zone coverage." Like you have to kind of know when to do, know what type of defense to play. Now, speaking of his replacements, the Ravens are going to do the same thing with what you're saying the Steelers are going to do. They're going to go internal. So the few options they have. Chris Hewitt, the secondaries coach, he's been a guy that a lot of people, I think a lot of teams have liked as a defensive coordinator. Drew Wilkins, he's been there for a while. He's the outside linebackers coach. He might get a shot. Joe Cullen, he was Ravens former D-line coach. This past season, he was the Jaguars defensive coordinator. So you got someone with experience. Some other guys, you got Anthony Weaver, who was a couple years ago Texans D coordinator, right now Ravens D line coach. I could see him, and that's the guy I think will get the job first, which is Anthony Weaver, because he has that experience. He did play for the Ravens, and fun fact about Anthony Weaver, a lot of people remember Ed Reed being the first round pick in 2002. Anthony Weaver was the second round pick for the Ravens in that draft. So he's kind of like that. He does have an important part in his history, but he's a guy I would say Chris Hewitt's guy I could see. I sure as heck hope not. I sure as heck hope Rob Ryan is not
Rob Ryan.
Yeah. I don't think they go Rex Ryan. And Joe, how close? Where are you in the
Oh,
town?
bro, just blew out his knee almost. Oh God, jeez, that was close. He looked like he got funky. Continue.
Yeah, no, okay. So, but there's gonna be a lot of internal ones. An interesting one is Mike McDonald, who was a Ravens assistant from 2014 to 2020, and then went from working from John Harbaugh to working with Jim Harbaugh as the defensive coordinator at Michigan. And interesting that the Michigan that Jim Harbaugh did say that Mike McDonald is probably one of the top options to replace Don Martindale as a Don Martindale replacement. So Jim Harbaugh said this. So so it's interesting. Like it could be something where John. I mean, I wouldn't put it past John. I wouldn't put it past John Harbaugh to basically loan Mike McDonald to Michigan for a year and then bring him when Don Martindale gets fired or gets let go, and then kind of give him that experience, and then boom, he's in the NFL. It also helps that David Ojabo, the second edge rusher for Michigan, is in that range where the Ravens pick.
Also, it just confirmed on Twitter, so Keith Butler has announced his retirement, so it's officially open now.
Yeah. So, but what I was saying is Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald was the Michigan defensive coordinator, and that defense really did improve under Mike McDonald. Now, granted, all the talent they had on that defensive line helped, but the point of bringing up is it wouldn't have been surprising if John Harbaugh kind of loaned Mike McDonald and said, "Hey, get some experience being the defensive coordinator here, and then when Martindale is fired or let go, you're one of our options." So it's sort of like, instead of like, you're going to have a chance at some point to be the defensive coordinator. And I think so he's an option. So I think Weaver's 1, McDonald 2, Chris Hewitt 3, Wilkins 4. And I think anyone else will be a surprise at that point. So it's going to be pretty interesting. And this is also kind of the reason why I think I would have been fine with firing Wink, because because you just heard me rattle out 5 names I could have brought up to replace him. With Greg Roman, you got T. Martin, who has had 1 year of experience as the USC offensive coordinator. Keith Williams, who has no experience. James Urban, who's a quarterbacks coach, but not experienced as an offense coordinator. What are they going to do? Go get Pep Hamilton if he's interested?
Yeah.
Are they going to get Anthony Lynn if he's interested? I mean, and then you're going more into Ken Dorsey. You're going more into Mike Kafka, the Chiefs guy. So to me, I don't think that. I think there's more candidates that you could replace Martindale with than you could with Greg Roman, and that's the other reason. So let's talk about the wildcard weekend. What stood out for you?
Honestly, dude, like I think the biggest thing for me, I'm kind of tired of why did we even expand the playoff format when the games look like that? How many good games were there? One, two, if that? I think it was only one, right? The Cowboys 49ers game. Every other game almost, or the Raiders game, the Raiders game.
That's a little bit. Fourth quarter might have ruined it a little bit.
So two. All the other games were a joke. And it's just like, why are we expanding the playoff format to include more teams? And don't get me wrong, I'm glad my team got in, even though they got blown out. But, I think 6 was a fine number. You're just asking for these top seeds to kick these lower seeds' asses, and that's exactly what happened. The Eagles stood no chance against the Bucks. My Steelers, after a good opening 20, 21, 22 minutes, they stood no chance after the Chiefs finally realized, okay, we got to wake up a little bit here, right? And, even in the 6 versus 3 games outside the 49ers, they were blowouts. And it's just like, those were terrible matchups. Obviously, people are going to watch this the NFL, but what's the point? What is an extra regular season game going to do? What is another extra playoff game team going to do? You don't need to reward more teams to get in. 6, I think, is fine. It's just, that was, I think, the biggest thing that stood out to me. The favorites won. That was expected, I think, from a lot of them. And now I think this weekend we're going to get some really good games. Hopefully, if the Titans want to start turning it around here.
Yeah, no, I think for me, it's also dependent on what teams do have those seeds. Like you can, it's very easy to make that argument. No offense. When your 7 seed teams, no offense again, are the Steelers with the issues they had and the Eagles. Now, what if I told you that if it was like another team, let's say the Colts somehow made it to the 7th seed. Let's say it was the Colts instead of the Steelers, and it was I don't know, the Vikings instead of the Eagles. Like those games might have been better. So it's not that you bring in a 7th seed. It's the 7 seeds just happen to be very flawed teams that were lucky and got in. So to me, I have no problem with the 7th seed. Now, my big takeaways are a lot. There's some offensive coordinator. When it comes to head coaching, some made their case, some didn't. I mean, like, let me first say this: a lot of Ravens fans and a lot of fans really like Kyle Shanahan. All right, here's the problem I have with Kyle Shanahan, and I don't know what do you think of him. I think he's a little overrated as a play caller, and here's the reason why I think he's overrated. Wasn't he the offensive coordinator for the Falcons in that Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Okay. And wasn't he the head coach for the 49ers when they blew another double-digit lead against the Chiefs in that Super Bowl a few years ago?
He did. He was.
Okay. So basically you're telling me that he's a play caller, and keep this in mind, he's a play caller. So this is
I would say he is a pretty good play caller.
No, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. But this is where his flaws are. He chokes in big games. Like you look at the Super Bowls, he's blown those leads. And here's a stat though that I saw. In the last 10 minutes of those 2 Super Bowls, a Kyle Shanahan ran offense has been outscored 46-0.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I keep hearing people say, "Oh, look at but he's such a great play caller and everything else." It's like he can use all these running backs. Like, okay, you're talking about him as he's a genius play caller. A genius play caller does not get outscored 46-0 in the 2 of the biggest games.
I think he gets conservative. Remember that 4th and 1. Why are you punting?
You got Deebo Samuel. You got Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, you have literally.
You got George Kittle.
Yep.
You got Brandon Ayuk.
Yep.
I get it. You don't trust Jimmy G. I get that. But you couldn't run a jet sweep with Brandon Ayuk, with George Kittle. I just saw there's a catch there.
I finally woke up.
Yeah. But you couldn't run a jet sweep and get 2 yards. Like I said, this whole argument is Kyle Shanahan's a great play caller. So, but how come in these moments, like 4th and 1, if at the I texted you this, like Cowboys 22-yard line, 4th and 1, stop, don't be a coward. You can go and get 2 yards on this play at least.
Yes.
You have multiple players that can do that. Why not do that? If you did that and you got a touchdown, the last minute of the game is not a nail biter. Now the problem is, and then the last part where it's 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter, I didn't get that. Garoppolo's interception was absolutely awful. So
Yeah.
for me, Shanahan is not. I think he's a little slightly overrated. I mean, he's a good play caller, but he kind of does choke it in bigger games. All right. The other thing is, it's very clear that they're still dominant teams. I mean, I was happy to see the Cowboys lose. I mean, Kellen Moore basically decided, like, Kellen Moore did not
How
make a
is he
good
getting
decision.
head coaching interviews, Adi? That's my question.
I have no idea. The Cowboys are kind of screwing themselves a little bit because Dan Quinn is probably one of the better coaches they have on that staff, and he is getting head coach.
Do you think he'll get a head coaching gig? I do.
Yeah. I think he will. I mean, he did lead the Falcons to the Super Bowl. He does have that Seattle background, Legion of Boom background.
Mhm.
He's going to get one more shot as a head coach. Now, where he gets it, I have no idea. But
Denver seems to really like him. I think that would make sense.
yeah, Denver. I could see him going to Denver on that one. But yeah, I mean, the few other things, like Kansas City is still Kansas City, Buffalo is still Buffalo. I was kind of bummed that the Raiders couldn't beat the Bengals. What I don't get is the last interception he threw that Jermaine Pratt got. That was double covered. Like
Mhm.
that was double covered. I mean, he like, and you don't throw to Darren Waller, you throw to Zay Jones. I mean, there's something about that that makes no sense. Um, but I mean, the extra playoff spot, to me, going back to your point, it helps because more teams are in it. It hurts because the seventh team is not going to be a team. It's going to be a team that's going to be flawed. Um, but yeah, let's move on more towards the divisional round, which is
Honestly, we have the
one of the
game
games.
going on right now. Tennessee is driving a little bit, which is, you
Good.
know, it's good to see. In my survivor pool, at least I picked them for today, but I'm not feeling too confident about it. Honestly, D, like I feel like these games are all going to be pretty good. I feel like the Chiefs are going to beat the Bills by a field goal or something. I know they got blown out last time. The Chiefs, that was an Arrowhead actually by Buffalo, but
Right.
I feel like this is a new Chiefs team with how they're playing. The
Also, I will say this though. In the wild card round, no, sorry about that, but in the wild card round, was that the first time in a long time we saw two big man touchdowns in a weekend in a playoff weekend?
Batman touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Because those were some creative plays, and then Travis Kelce and his touchdown pass, Odell Beckham, and speaking of that, do you think Cliff Kingsbury's done has one or two more years? How many years do you have left before do you think he gets fired?
Who?
Kingsbury.
Probably a couple. I mean, I thought that they had a good start, Indy, but like they were
That's
really
the story of
fraudy down
Kingsbury.
the stretch. I feel like
That is the
Kyler
story of
Murray.
Kingsbury. That is the story of Kingsbury going back to Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Look at his record in the first half. Look at his record in the second half.
Is it also such to say that Kyler Murray is a bit overrated? I feel like he definitely is in a little bit of
There are a lot
regards.
of people saying Kyler Murray is better than Lamar Jackson.
That's just not true. I mean, I know Lamar has his problems throwing the ball, but did you see some of the problem the mistakes
I
that
love
Kyler?
I loved seeing I don't know, did you watch the Manning cast version or the
I did
right?
not. No, I watched the regular one.
Okay, so you know how they always have guests come on.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the Manning so Peyton and Eli had Dwayne Johnson in that second quarter. And then Dwayne Johnson gives his speech like Peyton goes to ask Dwayne, hey, so if you go to the Cardinals, all right, give a motivating speech. Dwayne Johnson gives a motivating speech, and while that play's happening, um, Kyler Murray goes back into the end zone, throws a pop up,
Oh God.
and throws a pick six.
Touchdown, Derrick Henry.
Yeah. It was just really funny. It's sort of like when you had like an Applebee's commercial and then you showed Andy Reid.
Say that one more time.
It's like when you had it's like showing an Applebee's commercial.
Yeah.
And then the first person is Andy Reid. You show when you go back to the game.
Derrick Henry, they ran a wildcat formation there, and that was actually,
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, yep, he woke up right there.
Yeah, and that was a good 5-minute drive. I mean, I think what's going to really sting the Bengals in this game, for the divisional round, is you can't trade field goals, especially when you have Derrick Henry. You cannot trade field goals, and when you're given all this good field position, you can't what's the flag for? Oh wow, there's a flag here. There's a flag on the play. But I think that look, I don't like the Titans and I don't like the Bengals, and
I know your Titans hate, especially with what they do on the Ravens field. I know you're not a big fan of that.
Honestly, is I want the Titans to win, and I want them to get embarrassed by either the Bills.
I feel like the winner of the Chiefs Bills game is going to stomp on one of these two teams.
Oh,
I would believe that.
Oh yeah. I can see that happening. I can see that happening.
That game will be fun. I feel like the Bucs will beat the Rams by a touchdown or less, and then I'm taking Green Bay tonight. I don't think they'll lose to San Francisco, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to take.
The big question is, can Rodgers finally get back to the Super Bowl? I mean, he's been to so many conference championships, and I feel like this has to be it. This is your best shot.
Oh my God! Bengals got a Bengal. Too many men on the field, Cincinnati, during the extra point attempt.
They're going to go for two here?
We'll see. Oh, it looks like
Mike Vrabel serious? Mike Vrabel's not serious. Mike Vrabel's he's not serious.
You know my strategy would be in this situation. My strategy would be kick the extra point on the first touchdown, and if you're up by 13 when you get to the end zone for the second touchdown, then take the 2-point conversion, because then you're going to be up. Oh no, did he get in?
I don't even think he got in there. Like, what are we doing?
Oh my God! But I would not have done. I would not have gone. Why do teams do that? Like, why do teams
It's not a good coach.
No, it's like 4th and 1, 2-point conversion. Oh, what are we going to do? We're going to run the ball up the middle, even though we see the entire defense literally stacking the box. We're going to run the ball up the middle. I don't understand that at all. Yeah, but to me, it's going to be pretty interesting. I think hopefully Titans win. And then I think Packers beat 49ers. I just don't trust Jimmy G at all.
I agree.
And then Ryan Jensen isn't playing. It looks like Ryan Jensen and Tristan Wirfs are dealing with some injuries. So we'll see if they play. If they don't play, I mean, Brady, that offensive line.
Someone just tweeted I'm open to analytics, but can someone please tell me why going for 2 was the right call right there? Do you have anything for that?
No. I'm all for, you know how I'm all for analytics. Like I said, the second touchdown is when you go for 2 in this situation.
Yeah.
To me, the second touchdown, not the first one. You use the first one to get the lead, and then you take the second the 2-point conversion on the second touchdown to either make it a 2-drive game or a 3-drive game. So to me, I didn't really get it. I mean, granted, you had Derrick Henry, so you were close to it, but even me, who likes analytics, I didn't understand that strategy there.
Yeah.
But to me, my biggest issue is always going to be, why do these plays always happen through the middle of the field? Literally, if you see the defense crowd the middle of the field, then change the play, have a play to the right side or left side of the field, put an extra blocker, and then run a jet sweep or run an outside power in that situation. I don't understand the predictability of these plays, but I mean, whatever on that one. But where's that? I think Rams beat the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers offensive line.
Interesting. You're taking the Rams for that.
Yeah, because I think it's because of the Buccaneers offensive line. Especially if Ryan Jensen and Tristan Wirfs aren't playing. But I mean, because especially you got Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, and Von Miller.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's the only reason. If they had a healthy offensive line, I probably would take the Buccaneers. But I think that pressure of Brady's going to get hit harder than what most people think. So I think that's going to be the case there. And then Chiefs, Bills. Ooh, that's tough. I mean,
I'm taking Kansas City by a field goal. That's just my opinion, though.
Kansas City. Yeah, I think Kansas.
But the
Yeah,
Bills can win that game. They already beat them in Arrowhead once. So
yeah, I think Bills can win. I mean, I think it's whichever team's run game is going to show up more. I think that's going to be the key here. But yeah, so we're going to see what happens here in that one, and then we're going to end the show with the Virginia Tech football update. We didn't really get any major ones, but I am liking this staff more and more. Because have you seen how they've been like road
they're
tripping?
tweeting, man. Freaking Brent Pry was at the snowball fight. That was awesome. But it just seems like they're really engaging with the recruits and the fans and all that. And that's the bare minimum. Obviously, there's going to be losses on the field. It's just a matter of if everyone's going to stick with them, and I think everyone will.
Yeah, and did you hear that? Apparently the Utah, the Utah transfer,
Yeah.
Kelly, that would be interesting if they take him. Like that would be interesting if he's willing to come there because that's in 3 transfers plus. I mean, does Farrell change positions in?
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think he will.
yeah, and then obviously Virginia Tech basketball. But I mean, it's been disappointing this year for basketball for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably one of the most disappointing teams in the country. I think the main thing is that Mike Young needs to recruit more ACC level talent. They just don't have a lot on the team right now. And, Storm Murphy's been really underwhelming. They're getting Rodney Rice next year, which is going to be ginormous, but, they need more. And just, a lot of these players, they're not Power 5 level. I mean, Aluma's been great. Mutz has been good. Couture's fine. Outside of that, who do they really have that's playing well? Aline has stank. He stunk. Jalen Cone is gone. Tyrese Hartford's gone. It's really dry. And, they're losing to teams that they should be beating by at least 5 or 6 points.
Yeah, I think it's just moments like they just get cold in moments. I feel like they just get cold in moments where like at the worst possible time. But we'll end the show there, and then next week we'll talk about the championship matchups as well as some MLB news. We'll talk about the because apparently MLBPA is going to do a counter offer, so we'll talk about that.
Oh, this should be good.
And, we should know by then who the new defensive coordinators for the Ravens and Steelers are going to be at that point in time. So we'll see you next week. We'll see you next week. Most likely around this time next week.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Hopefully, I don't think the conference championships will be on Saturday. It'll be on Sunday. So
Oh no, I think 1 or 2 might be on. It might be like it might be like one NFC, one AFC on Saturday, one the other NFC, the other AFC. That one. But all right, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. See you guys.